So now we can welcome Nigel up to the stage for his right policy update.
Right. Okay, this is the right policy update, which I seem to have done God knows how many times now. Right. Okay. Quick run through of what the RIPE development process is. It's basically formed of two parts, really. There's the policy development process, which is the way policies are actually developed, the process they go through. And then related to that is the RIPE Code of Conduct, which lays down the rules under which you interact when you're developing policy. In other words, it's basically to stop name calling and the like. And policy is developed in policy working group and RIPE working groups. Okay. You can participate in the policy development process if you're that way inclined by joining the dedicated mailing lists for each policy development, for each working group. Okay, and that's where the majority of the work is done. You can find the current policy proposals on the RIPE website. It's fairly easy to find out. Just follow down from how you can participate, and that gives you a list of the current policy proposals. There are two important parts to the process. One is the discussion phase, which is where ideas are just generally batted around. And then there's the review phase, which is where people actually express an opinion and an argument on the process. And it's during the review phase that the working group chairs actually try and work out consensus. Okay, it's important to understand that. Okay, so we currently have 3 current policy proposals. Not very many, but that's fine because basically IPv4 is pretty well run out, and any policy work on IPv4 is really just shifting deck chairs around on the deck of the Titanic. So the first one we have is 2023-01. I've already addressed this one last time I was here, and this is to do with IPv4 assignments for IXPs. And basically the proposal states that the assignment default size has been knocked down from a /24 to a /26, which will actually cover about 80% of IXPs. Not every IXP is as big as the LINX. So this is actually the second time around on this proposal. The first time around imposed a requirement that an IXP that wished to pull down this /26 should also demonstrate that they were routing IPv6. Okay, that requirement has been taken out of the proposal, so it's been made simpler. And that is in the discussion phase at the moment, so people are batting the ideas around at the moment. 2023-02, which again I talked about last time, is about the minimum size for IPv4 temporary assignments. If you want to do an experiment on the internet, you can actually ask RIPE for a temporary assignment, and they will give you a minimum /24, because a /24 is pretty well the minimum size that is routable. You can ask for a smaller one if you wish. And this policy proposal actually allows you to request a smaller one. This again is the second time round for this proposal. There's just been some wording changed. It doesn't actually change the proposal itself. And that's now in the review phase. So the working group chairs are actually looking at and trying to work out consensus on this one. Probably doesn't affect anybody much here. And then we have an absolutely brand new one, from the RIPE NCC Services Working Group. And this is called the Voluntary Transfer Lock, which is an interesting name. But basically what it allows you to do is, if you have an assigned resource, you can tell the RIPE NCC that for 6 months, 12 months, or 24 months, you do not want it transferred. Okay, so it basically locks it down and prevents somebody coming along and claiming to be you and transferring it. There hasn't been a great deal of discussion about this, and personally, I'm not too sure it's terribly necessary. But if you are interested, please go onto the services working group, have a look at the discussion, and make your ideas known. Other policy topics? Well, there aren't any other policies under development, but the IPv6 policy is under review, or various IPv6 policies under review, and there are sessions that are meeting outside of RIPE meetings to actually discuss this. There was one on the 20th of February, and there's one and there was one on the 11th of April. The minutes and the recordings are published, and they'll be presenting what they've talked about at RIPE 86. So if you're interested in further development of IPv6 policy, then that's the place to be. And RIPE 86 is in Rotterdam on the 22nd to the 26th. That's it. Any other questions? Or any questions at all, in fact?
Question from Malcolm.
Nigel, the RIPE NCC is consulting on a new charging model. Are you able to give us any explanation of what's going on there and where this is getting to? I understand it's provoked some lively discussion.
I am nothing to do with the RIPE NCC anymore. So I know nothing. You know more about it than I do.
Okay.
Okay. Any more questions before we close this session? Right, okay. Thank you very much, Nigel.